This training session is one I will never forget. Out of everything I've ever filmed, this lift stands out as the most impressive, and I doubt it will ever be surpassed in a pre-competition environment. Rahmat Erwin Abdullah's 200 kilo clean and jerk at just 73 kilos is more impressive than Lasha's 255 kilos from the 2019 training hall, and Karlos Nasar's 220 kilos from this same competition. It's certainly a more impressive clean and jerk than anything I ever saw from Xiaojun or even Ilyin in the same context. In this video, we'll explore the remarkable context behind this lift and the tragedy that now overshadows it. Also, before we get started, don't forget to head to weightliftinghouse.com and check out our buy any two get one free mix and match. Weightlifting House is worn by Olympic champions, international athletes, and you. The link is down below. Okay, so let me just clarify quickly. With this lift, Rahmat's 200, I'm talking about in a training hall, specifically a pre-competition training hall. We're not talking about all-time records in competition or back home in an athlete's gym weighing 6 kilos above competition weight. We're talking about less than a week out in front of their competitors at a competition. To add to the intrigue of this lift was just how easy the 200 kilos looked. It left us with a sense of what can he actually do, because up until that point in his career, he'd basically just made whatever was loaded on the bar. And so because of that, there was a mystique about him. Let's quickly go back in time to the filming of this session to gather some context. We were in Thailand. It was the last chance Olympic qualifier. Rahmat was the undisputed, unchallenged world number one. No one could touch him. In fact, he single-handedly moved the clean and jerk world record up by 6 kilos, from 198 kilos, a world record set by Xiaojun back in 2019, all the way to 204 kilos, 2 months prior to this. Two things quickly. Firstly, I say single-handedly because he was unchallenged in all of the scenarios in which he set the world records. He didn't need to hit any of them. He had already won each competition in his first attempt, and so these world records were just what he fancied doing at the time. And secondly, we'd seen him clean 214 kilos, weighing just 76.93 kilos a few months prior. That's only a kilo below the winning clean and jerk in the 89 kilo category from the year before. By the way, and this will probably make you laugh, by Sinclair, Rahmat's 214 kilo clean is like Lasha cleaning 280 kilos or Karlos cleaning 232 kilos in competition. So the underlying story here, as many of you know, was that Rahmat had to hold off his teammate, the ever so talented Ilyin, who was training on the platform behind him. And of course that massively upped the intensity of the session, as they were both ignoring each other. In reality, though the odds were insanely stacked in Rahmat's favour, if anyone was going to be able to beat him, somehow it probably would have been risky. Also, in case you aren't aware, these two don't really come across as traditional teammates. Yes, they're both Indonesian, but they don't train with one another back in Indonesia. They have different coaches around them, both their families actually. In fact, I've literally never seen them have a conversation. They seem to avoid one another in the training halls. They are competitors. They act like they don't exist. The only interaction I've ever really seen between them has been after a competition in the back room. Just a quick hug, well done. Something else to note about this session is that Rahmat was doing power clean and power jerks before each clean and jerk. His 180 kilo, 396 pound power clean is one of the biggest flexes I've ever seen in a training hall. It's the same weight we've seen from Xiaojun, the king of the power, in a training hall. And Rahmat did it with a lot less wo chow. He's also pretty expressionless in the way that he trains. I'm not sure whether his internal state matches his exterior sense of calm. Perhaps there's a lot of inner noise, perhaps not. But he certainly gives this impression that nothing he does phases him, that what he's doing is not necessarily even that interesting or impressive. Occasionally you'll catch a wry smile, like when he tried to double a 160 kilo snatch and his dad, who's also his coach and an ex-weightlifter, had to stop him from taking the second lift. So he doesn't show much in training, and perhaps that makes it even more impressive, because as the viewer you have no reference points with which to gauge his effort level. The bar speed isn't slowing down much, there's not a whole lot of grinding, and you certainly can't predict by an increasingly pained or effortful expression just how close to maximum this lift actually is. He just lifts, and then eventually he stops lifting. The biggest clean and jerks I'd ever seen in a training hall by a 73 kilo weightlifter before this were both at 195 kilos, one by Weirafong Wachuma and one by him, although he did it with an additional front squat in the middle, which he told me was simply because of what Weirafong had done. Rahmat's Olympic fate was decided a few days later. And if you don't know what happened, then watch the documentary we just shared about it. It's amazing.
This has never happened.
This is extraordinary.
This for the Olympics.
Also, here's a tangential point, but I think it's extremely interesting and probably maybe cause for concern. Of the top 5 male weightlifters over the last Olympic qualifying period, only 2 were allowed to go to the Olympics. Let me repeat that again. Of the top 5 male weightlifters over the last Olympic qualifying period, only 2 of them were allowed to go to the Olympics. In that top 5, and this is based on Sinclair, we have, in order, Rizky Jinyansea, Rahmat Erwin Abdullah, Ri Chong Song, Karlos Nasar, and Lee Dayin. In Paris, we didn't get to see Rahmat, Ri Chong Song, or Lee Dayin. That's a problem.
Oh, it's a tough clean. He's on his toes. It's slipping. It's falling. Can he stabilize?
He can't do it.
This is brutal.
Surely.
I think he knows. Oh, that was painful to watch.
It's the biggest upset
That was
in weightlifting history. Rahmat Abdullah, the greatest in the world right now, is no longer. Rizky Jinyansea is going to the Olympics, and
at this level,
the greatest session I've ever seen in my life.